Afternoon and a warm welcome to UBC Lunchtime News on this 22nd day of March 2023. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto. Now it's out of this newscast with Parliament has passed the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, introducing strict punishment for offenders. The offences range from life imprisonment for unnatural offences, 3 years for children convicted, and 10 years sentences including fines for promoting homosexuality and other related offences. This is what transpired during the passing of the controversial bill tabled by Bujiri Municipality MP Alsman Basalirwa. West Budama North MP Fox Odoy presented the minority report.
It was a marathon debate after the Parliament Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs tabled a report on the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023 for a second reading by Parliament.
I move that is the time that we go to the committee stage, Madam Speaker.
We have made consultation with the mover, we have harmonized, and we are comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. To confirm that the government is fully behind this, I'm present.
The 11th Parliament seeks to pronounce itself on criminalizing homosexuality even after a similar move by the 9th Parliament was rendered null and void.
I don't want technical errors like what was made before. I am going to do a roll call. We want to confirm the quorum so that the minority member should not run to court that there was no quorum.
In 2009, when I moved this bill, we struggled with it for 5 years. We brought on this floor of the House. Even the chairperson of the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs disappeared that day. I'm very grateful that Robina is here to read the bill.
Robina Wakwejna, the Vice Chairperson of the Parliament Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, presented the report which seeks to protect the rich cultural diversity which Uganda enjoys.
There's a need for a legislation to enhance offences relating to homosexuality and clear provisions for charging, investigating, prosecuting, convicting and sentencing of offenders.
Despite facing a huge heckle, West Budama North MP Fox Odoy tried in vain to stand alone and maintain his 2014 position to support the actions of homosexuality in Uganda on grounds of non-discrimination, only to be left helpless as his minority report was debunked.
Inhuman and degrading treatment, the right to a fair hearing, and finds that if Parliament enacts this into law, it will be unconstitutional. Some of the we also argue that the bill reverses the gains registered in the fight against gender-based violence, especially against women and girls. There is a difference between a homosexual and a homosexualist. Honorable Fox is a homosexualist. A homosexualist is the one who protects, promotes, defends, and we agreed that he is not offended to call him a homosexualist.
In fact, the minority report is silent on whether this law is not necessary per se. They are only saying that it already exists. But when a law exists and it's not effective, the minority also gave the statistics of number of cases, and you see that the number were there very minimum.
The legislators agreed that the proposed anti-homosexuality legislation is a relief for Ugandans, describing the already existing laws as obsolete and incomplete.
And we have to understand that as legislators, our customs, our spirituality, and our traditions informs how we legislate. When a Western custom comes to this country and it is conflicting with ours is superior. So the African culture, the Ugandan culture is superior to any other customs that comes from out. So when we are legislating, I want us to legislate with that in mind, that we are here to promote our own culture. We have gone to some other countries. We also respect what they do there.
The MPs amended the report to have 10 years imprisonment for anyone attempting to practice homosexuality and life imprisonment for a person liable on conviction.
Clause 2 be amended as proposed by the committee and amended by the Attorney General with the 10 years on attempted. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Emerging trends show recruitment of children into homosexuality. The legislation puts a punishment of 3 years imprisonment for children offending the law.
We are not going to deviate from it. So when we are talking about children, in any legislation we make, our first point of reference is the Children's Act. So this is just being consistent with the Children's Act, and the 3 years must be looked at from that context that we are dealing with the children.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Experts have advised company owners on the role of certification, which they say enables efficiency of a company and contributes to growth. This was during a function where several companies received certificates from International Organization for Standardization. We have more.
Once you get certified, you integrate with the world. It helps in export, it helps in bringing efficiency in the company, and there are so many benefits.
Once you don't have this certificate, especially in the oil and gas, where health and safety is paramount, you will have problems whereby you're not supposed to go in certain places. These are slippery areas, and your people have to be protected.
We're getting trust from our service providers. We're getting trust from our partners. Even investors are willing to work with us now because we are ISO certified.
In the company. So earlier we've been working with a lot of traditional way because we implement some things which we think it is right. But what ISO help is like it's a non-governmental certification. So what happens is bring you an international standard. So which makes things more easier, more efficient. It helps you to reduce your cost.
Conducted by researchers from Makerere University School of Public Health has revealed that Bunyoro and Toro regions lead in teenage pregnancies in the country. Dr. Richard Mugahia, the Assistant Commissioner in charge of Maternal and Child Health, says the two regions stand at 28%, while the national average is 25%. The report was presented to the various stakeholders in Bunyoro during a meeting held in Hoima Oil City.
It is true, Toro and Bunyoro, the issue of teenage pregnancy is higher than the national average. The national average is 25%, but here I think we saw in the results around 28. Toro is almost the same. So the issues around teenage pregnancies cannot be solved by the health system alone, because for us in the health sector we only see young people getting pregnant. But part of the reason is they need to be educated about their sexuality. Young children, young girls and boys are beginning to get involved in sexual activity at an early age. Education has a role to play. Those who drop out of school are left in the villages doing nothing. So community health services has a role to play. So we also, as health sector, need to provide methods for those who are not in school, even those who are sexually active, so that they are able, if they are going to be involved or actively involved in sexual activities, they are able to prevent themselves from getting pregnant. We all know that pregnancy, we have so many unwanted pregnancies. Actually, it's almost 60% of the pregnancies in Uganda are unwanted, unintended.
Hearing of the case where city lawyer Hassan Mabirizi is challenging the trial of legislators Muhammad Sejirinya and Alan Sewanyana and 4 others in the International War Crimes Division Court has flopped. This followed unreadiness of all the respondents to proceed with the hearing of the case. Deborah Namamonde reports.
I was submitting that...
This case was filed by city lawyer Hassan Mabirizi in the International War Crimes Division Court in Kololo before Judge Alice Komuhanji Kauka. Although the case was set for hearing, this was impossible. Since all the respondents in the matter were not ready to proceed, they asked the court to adjourn the matter.
It's basically that I was unable to meet them in regards to this matter due to the burial arrangements of my colleague Ahmed Anthony, which I was conducting. I therefore request for some more time so that I can go to prison in Luzira, take them through this application, and then we file an affidavit in objection or in reply.
However, there was drama in court when the 4 legislators co-accused persons expressed naivete about the case.
Under the Constitution, under Article 28, Sub-Article 5, anything which is happening, which is going on about a prisoner and an accused person must be in his presence.
It's against this backdrop that Judge Alice Komuhanji Kauka adjourned the matter to 3rd April 2023, when court will start the hearing of the matter.
And be able to either respond in opposition or in agreement to this application. So for that reason, therefore, I will adjourn this application, and I'm adjourning it to the 3rd of April at 9:30 a.m. to allow the parties to organize themselves and have this matter handled properly.
In this matter, Hassan Mabirizi is challenging the trial of legislators Muhammad Sejirinya and Alan Sewanyana and other 4 accused persons to be tried in the International War Crimes Division Court. Pending his constitutional petition, he filed in the Constitutional Court.
The Constitutional Court must first interpret, is it proper? Because you cannot claim that if 30 people died in Gambia, then you open about 20 files. Every time you think that you need to defeat bail. So that is the injustice which is being, which was made and which the Constitutional Court must interpret.
Mabirizi filed this case against the Attorney General's office, legislators Muhammad Sejirinya, Alan Sewanyana, and other co-accused, and the Director of Public Prosecution's office, Deborah Namamonde. UBC News.
The General Court Martial in Makindye has charged and remanded Sergeant Abdul Sali to military prison over murder of A1 Waligo Ronald at Kawanda Senior Secondary School. Sergeant Abdul Sali pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences.
On 15th November 2022, there was a tragedy at Kawanda Senior Secondary School following the shooting of a parent, Waligo Ronald, by a fellow parent, Sergeant Abdul Sali. After committing the alleged offence, Sergeant Abdul Sali escaped arrest. Sergeant Abdul Sali, driver and a senior non-commissioned officer of UPDF, has appeared before the Chairman General Court Martial Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe, who charged him with the offence of murdering Waligo Ronald at Kawanda Senior Secondary School. Sergeant Abdul Sali pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences.
Sergeant Abdul Sali, ennaku z'omwezi 15 omwezi ogw'Okumu omwaka 2022 ssaawa nga 4 nga oli e Kawanda Secondary School mu Nakyesanja Zone mu gombola y'e Nabweru mu district y'e Wakiso, n'ekigendererwa ky'omaze okwefumitirizaako obulungi ate nga kimenya amateeka oba omumenyi bw'amateeka waleetera okufa kw'omuntu ono nga Waligo Ronald.
Prosecution led by Alex Mukwana told court that inquiries in the matter are still ongoing. They asked court for more time.
Up to 8th of May 2023 for mention, and we further pray that The accused person.
The accused Sergeant Abdul Sali has been remanded to Machinde Military Police. Prosecution alleges that on 15th November 2022, while at Kawanda Senior Secondary School at Nache Sanja Zone, Nabweru Division in Wachiso District, with a malice forethought, caused the death of Waligo Ronald. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, has pledged to lobby and support schools having children with Down syndrome to create an inclusive society. Tayebwa was speaking during celebrations to mark World Down Syndrome Day at the International School of Uganda in Lubowa, Wakiso District. He said children with Down syndrome are judged as incapacitated and not to be any way useful to society.
1 in every 700 babies born in Uganda has Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic condition that moves with the genes of an individual, caused by an extra chromosome, and happens right at child formation. Statistics: 365 babies are born with Down syndrome accompanied by heart complications.
Unfortunately, people with Down syndrome often face stereotypes and discrimination, which can lead to exclusion and marginalization. But this doesn't have to be the case. By learning about Down syndrome, we can create a more inclusive society where everyone is valued and respected.
Stephen Kavenge, working with Embrace Culture, says severe lack of awareness in Uganda has led to premature death, with many attributing the syndrome to a curse.
The biggest challenge is limited access to health facilities, as most of the children have heart complications. Then education, although we have a very good policy on inclusive education, its implementation has not yet been very effective as we expect. You find that in some schools, a child with Down syndrome or an intellectual disability is charged way higher than any other child, and yet they are all in the same school.
The head of school, International School of Uganda, Simon Gillespie, asked people to provide opportunities for people with Down syndrome.
So the biggest challenge, I think, for individuals with Down syndrome is being recognized and being seen as equals in this world, and in Uganda and in our school community, in any school community. And so it's really important that we show through, for example, our staff members who have Down syndrome, they are equal contributors to our staff, and they can do the job as any able person can do as well. And so promoting and supporting is a really important challenge to make sure that everyone knows that everyone has worth.
Government needs to raise funds to support persons with Down syndrome. The day was on the theme of us, not for us. Sudat Kaya, UBC News.
UBC Lunchtime News. Government, with support from World Bank, will continue implementing projects that strengthen social inclusion of vulnerable people and refugees in the hosting districts. The Manager, Development Response to Displacement Impacts Project, Coral Lolika, says this will address the risks on conflicts.
In 2018, government secured over $200 million to implement a 5-year project on the Development Response to Displacement Impacts Project in refugee hosting community districts. The DRDIP manager, Brenda Lorica Caro, told UBC that the major focus was infrastructure development, livelihood and sustainable environment and natural resource management.
We have address aspects to do with water challenges for economic but also for domestic use in many of these districts, including the refugee settlements. Management of fragile ecosystems like the riverbanks, the hilly areas, the wetlands, and also the arid flatlands where there is a lot of environmental degradation due to the presence of the refugees.
During the visit to different hosting districts, they discovered there were gaps that they needed to address in the next phase starting this year in December.
So we want to look at how we can work closely with Ministry of Energy to see that we implement sustainable, durable energy solutions, especially for lighting. and then on the other side we continue with efficient clean cooking for the women at the rural areas. So this will help both the refugee and the host communities to address largely the vulnerabilities around that, but also vulnerabilities due to shocks and also the climate risks in that regard.
Desk Officer Diara Deep Kamwenge Alfred Kamanyere says the program needs to address areas of education and road construction.
Mahana Primary School, because we have to start construction and but still P1 alone, the population is over 1,000 people. So because of that, although we have put there some classrooms, we need to add more because the enrollment is still high. The infrastructure we have put there, they are still not enough. So that's why we need an extra support.
Different communities visited in the project area have positive responses.
So ndio akakuja tukanza ile process. So kisi ya kubali kuyaka kesi ya
uketi wote tupeane mawazo kama tunaweza anzisha ingine project kama chairperson alikuwa anasema, lakini kutoka kwa wanamemba wote tunafanya mina tunasema.
Na inilenda mzuri, samaki kabisa ziko ndani zinakula mzuri, tunatupatia chakula zinakula mzuri. Projet iko mzuri tuseme.
Bosenje Marion, councillor representing people with disability in Isinjiro, requests more funding in the project since local communities have been transformed in Isinjiro.
UBC Lunchtime News takes a very short break, but we return after these messages.
With freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable. Fish farming expo and training. Ekajansi ku aquaculture research and development center kutandika Friday ngabiri munya paka Sunday ngabiri mukaga March ngome 2023 sawa bile zokumacha bali lunaku kosiringa 15 zokka no mutwalo kubone training jangu oyiko kuongera ku makungula ne sente zofuna mu byenyanja oyigemo balusa endisa nekola emere ebyenyanja endwadde nezijanja bayabyo ero bikumotya ngabira mwate ngabya mutindo omwoleso kutideba kukuberere mu byenyanja bouncing kazo zabana ebisanyu santoko endoko kasiku okuva mu bayimbi ba Uganda benjawulo eno olaba oyiga ng'atonyumirwa obulamu Fishwise kuba essimu 0702 mukaga 2205 oba 0772 mukaga 226 okumanya ebisingawo tosubwa omwoleso gw'ebyennyanja oguwagiddwa nawo nga gutegekeddwa Slick Stars.
The Chillax bundles from Airtel have been upgraded. Introducing Voice Chillax bundles. No validity, no expiry, no worries. Dial *100 *1#, select voice bundles and choose your preferred Voice Chillax bundle today. Talk longer with loved ones across Uganda with Voice Chillax bundles that don't expire. Airtel, the smartphone network.
With God, comfort replaces pain. Peace replaces confusion. Hope replaces sorrow. God loves you and knows you personally. He hears you and speaks to you in your thoughts, in your heart, and through living prophets. Come, hear the words God has for you. Watch the General Conference on Sunday, 2nd of April.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us here in UBC Lunchtime News. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto. Now into the business scene, the Ministry of Finance and Development Partners have launched a public investment financing strategy. The policy is geared at establishing robust and sustainable financing mechanisms for the achievement of the national development plans.
In 2018, government of Uganda adopted a policy that requires it to borrow up to 1% of GDP on average per financial year from the domestic financial market. However, the increasing development in financing requirements in the recent years have resulted in an increase in domestic borrowing relative to the country's GDP above the set maximum.
Me, I'm tired of borrowing, by the way, let me tell you the truth. I'm very tired of borrowing. We must look for different ways on how we can raise funds to develop Uganda apart from borrowing. The implementation of this financing plan is a priority for government. I therefore urge every Ugandan individual, development partner, private sector player, ministry, department and the agency to peruse the strategy so that you can participate in financing for development of our country, Uganda.
This has prompted the launch of the Public Investment Financing Strategy, which seeks to establish robust and sustainable financing mechanisms for government programs from domestic and external options.
Looking at also other key accelerators for financing for development in Uganda. Tourism has been mentioned by PSFU this morning. Another very important area of work again, and this has also been mentioned, is in the area of trade, positioning Uganda as a fast mover in the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And the government of Uganda and UNDP launched the SMEs for Trade initiative to unlock potential of the AFCFTA in Uganda.
The approach also provides a platform for collaborations between government and the private sector.
So basically, the development partners remain committed to support the governmental institutions led by the Ministry of Finance, Planning, Economic Development.
The Public Investment Financing Strategy comes at a time when the growth of global economies is constrained and thus resulting in huge budgetary deficit and the need to borrow more to bridge the gap.
And now into sports. The quarter-final draw for the 2023 Stanbic Uganda Cup has been made at the Federation of Uganda Football Associations. Now, this year's quarter-final has 3 FUFA Big League sides and 5 from the Star Times Uganda Premier League. Take a look.
Has been the case almost all through. The latest round for the Stanbic Uganda Cup has been made by a former footballer. This time round, it was by one of the most notable Ugandans, vocalist Moses Matovu, who after stints at Lint Marketing Boys, Express FC and Police, found home at a Frigo band.
Omupiira nina emyaka gye natuukako nga ndaba nti kangende mu music kuba music ngakakati nina emyaka 73 naye nkyayimba so senga mbadde mupiira mba nawummula dda.
The results of the draw pitted a Police FC against the reigning champions Bull FC. Adjumani Town Council will host Express FC. Kampala Capital City Authority visitor Soltilo Bright Stars, while for the first time this season, Vipers Sports Club is at home against Calvary. These one-leg ties will start 10th April, with the only change from earlier rounds being extra time in case there is no winner after the mandatory 90 minutes. The winner of this year's Stanbic Uganda Cup will bag 50 million shillings. Second placed fetches 25 million shillings, while all semi-finalists will be assured of 12 million shillings, with this quarter-final stage sparing 6 million shillings for each team.
Now, the Vipers fan gearing up for the celebrations.
The Cricket Cranes' 4-March ODI tour to Qatar ended with the team losing to Qatar by 4 wickets. In the 4th and final match played against Qatar at Doha University of Science and Technology, the Cranes were elected to bat fast and only managed to set a target score of 155 runs in 38.2 overruns due to a quick fall 2 wickets. Batsmen Kenneth Waiswa, Simon Sezazi and Raizat Ali Shah posted 29, 31 and 22 runs to boost Uganda's scores, but they were caught and bowled out before they could do any more damage to the hosts. When it came to bowling, Uganda put up a good fight with Henry Senyondo and Alpesh Rajmani collecting 2 wickets each, but this was not enough as the Qatar side proved the better team, posting 156 runs for 6 wickets in 47.4 overs.
I felt we got ourselves into good positions to walk away with the series, but unfortunately we did not get over the line, and that's an area we need to look at. It's happened in the past, and we need to be a bit more ruthless. But you know, lots of positives on the tour. It's been a while since we played 50-over cricket, and it was good to get back into the groove of things and, you know, just remind ourselves of the processes and the things we need to do to make sure we're ready to go when the next cycle comes around. Obviously, there's a bit of time between now and when that happens, but we need to continue doing the right things and make sure when the time comes, we're good to go. Standout guys, Kenneth Weiss was 100, Sarah Skakuru's contributions, Roger Mukasa contributing with some runs, Alpesh Ramjani, both with the batting and the bowling. So lots of positives, a good foundation we can build on.
Well, UBC Lunchtime News has come to an end. Thank you so much for your company this afternoon. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto. Have a nice lunch and an afternoon.